Hi, this is Alicia Bowling with Creative Laughter TV Beyond Logic podcast. Today, our guest is an international psychic medium who started off in a rock and roll band and now is a teacher and speaker of spirituality. It is my pleasure to welcome Carl Seaver to the show. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Alicia. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
I'm good. So your story is so much fun because it's so different from everyone else's. I mean, you're a Jersey guy, you're 22 years old, and then all of a sudden, something crazy happens, and that changes everything for you. Tell everybody about that.
It did. It literally was one of those life-changing moments. Although I'm not in New Jersey anymore, I still have that Jersey in me. I was born and bred with sarcasm for sure. But here I am, 22 years old. I'm a product of 80s heavy metal, long hair, head banging. And then I got involved in this conversation with my grandfather. It was about a half-hour long conversation. And it was so significantly strong, powerful, and moving that it literally froze me once I realized I just had a conversation with my grandfather 3 months after he passed. Wow. And the most awesome thing, which is sarcasm again, is I spent about 15 to 20 years of concealing that visitation from my grandfather because I was just so concerned about what would people think if I started sharing this information. And myself, I convinced myself for a while that it was just a dream because honestly, it happened at night while I was dreaming. But, some people know the difference between a dream and a real visitation. And that's what this was.
But do they? Do other people might have this experience too and wonder, was it a dream or was it real?
I don't know. I think if you have to question if something was real so much that it moves you and changes how your trajectory of life is going to be, that's much more than a dream.
That's very true. So when exactly did you go to your parents or your friends or your family and then bring this up? Because you're right, it's kind of like a hard thing to bring up.
It is. Listen, long time after. 22, I was a kid that didn't know anything, that thought he knew everything. And, sometime between the 15 to 20 year mark, I literally had to have a psychic coming out party for my parents and then my friends separately. And I was literally concerned that they're going to think I'm crazy, am I hallucinating, and all that kind of stuff. So I sat down with my parents and, my family, my immediate family, and told them, listen, I have, something important that I have to tell you, something significant, something that I've chosen to do and a path that I've chosen. And I just laid it out. I said, listen, I think I talk to dead people and I think I just know things about people and I have this calling and this is what I'm going to do. And their response was so loving, nurturing, and matter-of-factish as if it was no big deal at all. Next to no time was spent on it other than, wow, that's really cool. Good for you.
Well, it was the 80s. So they're probably just
listen now, it wasn't the 80s when I told them. It was the 80s when this happened to me. I told them, right. Don't forget, I told them 15 to 20 years after.
Wow, that's a long time to be holding on to that.
I went through several relationships without them knowing. I went through a couple career changes. Apparently I'm one of these believers that things happen for a reason. They happen at divine timing. And I believe, it's just my theory, that this experience that I had gave me in my mind the ability to know this is my potential with this work. I don't know if I'll ever reach that potential. I'll strive every day to do it. But I'm telling you, the man was in my room. I saw him, I smelled him, I felt him, and that's a significant moving moment. But I was an adult when I had this conversation with my family and my friends.
So how did your friends respond?
My friends were, again, they thought I had like some serious condition or something. They didn't know what was going on. But I told them, basically the same story that I told my parents. The only difference is their response was much different. They're like, you brought us here for that? You're buying the next round for gathering us all together for no reason at all. Good for you. You're up. So, my fear was, again, not being accepted. Will they still love me? Will they think I'm crazy? The humanness of this. And fortunately, both my, close friends and my immediate family, it was absolutely no big deal to them at all.
So do they ask you for readings? Like now that your friends know what you do they come to you for Female advice, work advice, money advice, which is always the top three, by the way.
Well, listen, they come to me for advice, and that's what I give them. But I do not do readings for my family or friends. I don't. I'm happy to refer them out.
That's funny. Why is that?
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, 30-something years ago, my mom's yelling at me to take the trash out. Now she's going to come to me for a spiritual reading. I mean, it's still my mom and my dad. At some point, I'm the kid. But in all seriousness, my belief, when you know so much about somebody, you take their aha moment away from them by telling things, even if it's stuff that I'm perceiving that's genuine, that I don't just know from them, I'm perceiving it somehow about them. The bottom line is, I know so much about them. Where is the validity in it? And I'm a big proponent of being able to provide validated evidence to somebody. And I rather not take someone's aha moment away from them, because it's a very important, time for somebody when they're ready for a reading, whether it's a psychic reading or a mediumship session, connecting to someone's loved one in the spirit world. That's a profound, moving moment for somebody. And I really feel strongly that it's my job to provide them with evidence that I would not know in any other way. How am I going to provide evidence to my mother about her mother, my grandmother, that I've known all my life?
Well, what happens if you sense a strong sense of danger for them? Like you really feel like you need to stop them from getting in the car or going down the street. Does that cross the line with your family and friends?
Listen, it's so weird for me because I don't want to negate that, because I know that that's valid for a lot of mediums and a lot of psychics, but I don't play in that kind of pool. I'm in a different energy and a different atmosphere, but every once in a while I'll have like, hey, something's up. Let me call somebody and make sure they're okay. But things don't come to me as warnings. It's so strange. They come to me as in empowering moments as opposed to fear, concern, alarm, protection. That's
interesting.
Yeah. And I know that there's mediums and psychics that do other things, but I don't know. I decided a long time ago when I decided to start, significantly diving into formal training, that if I can't share something with somebody that's empowering, then I'd rather do something else.
Wow. So you're like the Tony Robbins of the psychic world.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Tony is really high energy and he's about 7 foot tall. So he's just got me by almost a foot.
That's funny. Well, I know that you met your wife during all this training, which is really cool. So tell everybody about that.
Yeah, well, I was doing a couple things. Now I'm only just doing, psychic work and mediumship exclusively. But at that point, I was doing some healing as well. And I was a teaching assistant at a healing seminar. And my wife now, seminar attendee when I first saw her, clearly was just there to learn this healing process. And for the course of 2 days, she was constantly put in my section. I had a certain section that I was responsible for the attendees, making sure they had an understanding of what they were doing, making sure all those things. And here comes this person again, dragged into my section and forced into my section. And my eyes are on the attendees, making sure that, they're up to speed, knowing what they're doing. But every time this person walked past me or I walked past them, it literally was like walking past an electric force field that just, whoa, something's different. I can't deny that. It's a valid, tangible feeling that thankfully we both felt. I wasn't the oddball.
So do you believe in fate, soulmates? Do you believe that spirit puts us in the path of the person we're meant to be with?
I certainly do believe in soulmates, but I want to broaden that much more, because I don't think that we have just a soulmate. I think and I believe more about soul families. And I think the people that I've met through my life who I'm not involved with anymore, they were soulmates of mine as well, because I believe that before we came back to this time and this version of ourselves, we all got together on the other side and said, okay, this time you're going to learn this. You're going to learn this. I'm going to be the dad. You're going to be the dog. Okay, Brit, let's go. Let's do it. So all those people that we meet in our lives, I believe that as a soul, our soul knows them.
So one of the things that you say, and I find this interesting, you said this is not an ability. It's not a gift. Everybody has this gift. So what does that mean exactly? Because some people call it a gift. Some people don't call it a gift. What do you think about all that?
Well, again, specifically, I call it an ability. I don't call it a gift because it's just a personal belief. It's a personal feeling. I feel very humbled by the work that I'm fortunate enough to do. And to tell somebody that I have a gift, it just, for me, it just feels like you're just putting yourself in this air of superiority over somebody. And it is an ability. I mean, granted, mine might be heightened more than the regular person, but I believe anybody can do this. I don't necessarily think everybody can be the best in the world, but I liken it to, let's use an example. If you're going to start working out, you want to start going to the gym and you're into bodybuilding and you're going and you're going to constantly put some time and devotion into it. You're going to come out of that gym and you're going to be in much better shape than you were before you started training those muscles. You might not get out of that gym and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So the truth of the matter is, if you start developing these abilities that everyone has, you will be far better off than if you did not. But I can't make somebody into Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can certainly teach somebody how to do this. It's just a matter of it, simple things like, is it their time? Is it a passing fancy for them, or is it something that is a true soul passion that they're driven to do this? People take weekend courses on this and they never return because, they've had some things answered for them. Other people are students for years, and I will be a student until my last breath. This work is never ending. There's never a point where you say, I know it all. And because of that, I think saying that it's an ability or a heightened ability is much more truthful in my mind than calling it a gift. The real thing for me is the gift is in doing the work, I get to feel how somebody feels when they made that reunion with their loved one in the spirit world. That's the gift that I receive from my heightened ability.
Well, not everybody can be a singer, but they really want to be a singer. So do you believe that even though they're not as good as this person, they can be trained and get better? Is it the same thing as a psychic ability?
That's a great example because anyone could be a singer. That doesn't mean anyone's going to be at Carnegie Hall, but it's not going to stop you from singing in your shower. You're still a singer. And where is your ability? That we don't have an idea of that until you start training and saying, hey, I can train my voice to do these certain things. Or maybe I can't train my voice to do exactly what I want, but now I know things differently and I might try to sing it in a different way, and it might be better for me in the long run. So, you can't, even with that singing example, you can't turn every singer into the best Luther Vandross voice you can imagine. But you can certainly teach somebody how to sing, whether or not someone's going to pay money for them. It really depends on what is your expectation from this. Do you want to sit there and be on television and have an audience of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people? There's not many people in this world that do that. There's probably about 10 of them right now. The rest of them have small audiences and they're just as profound. But what is your expectation in this? Do you want to build that muscle, whether it's a vocal muscle or a singing muscle or a psychic muscle, rather? You're going to be better by training than not. So I think anybody can do it. I don't think I'm special.
But you are. When you say you help people get to their chosen soul or life path, is that kind of like what you're saying now with the singing? You kind of help guide them to what they're supposed to flourish in? Because like you said, you may be an okay singer. Maybe you're meant to sing in the shower, but some people are meant to sing on a stage with a ginormous platform. Is that what you mean when you try to find their chosen soul or life path?
Well, I do believe that people have a soul path. I do believe that they have things that they are here to learn and are to be passionate about. Using the example of the singer, I don't know if it necessarily fits because this is more of a conscious answer than an in-session answer. But when I'm in a session with somebody for a psychic reading, for whatever reason, I have that ability to be able to either sense what they're passionate about or their soul mission of ambition of what creative flair do they have that they might not have expressed. What business mind do they have that they just didn't think they could do it? And when you tap into somebody's energy on a soul to soul level and you share something with them as a stranger, when they look at you saying, oh my God, I've been wanting to do things like that my whole life. I just don't know if I have the ability to do it. And, my purpose there, I believe, is just to share with them that which I sense and perceive about them. I don't know if they're going to be the best singer, the best writer, but this isn't about being the best. It's about being your best. So if you're driven to sing, who cares if you don't have what it takes to make the best top-selling CD or MP3 nowadays? But is your soul satisfied by you expressing yourself in that creative manner? That's a passion of the soul. Being the best in the world is an ego thing, if that's your driving force.
Right. Well, as a psychic medium, I have a lot of friends who get very disturbed because they want someone very specific to come down. And when that person doesn't come down, they don't feel like the psychic did their job.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh my God. But isn't it true that not always is that specific person going to come down? So
yeah, it's true. But I want to go back and just, I hate to say correct, but can I just change the come down to like, I believe that they're here. There's no coming down. I believe that veil is so thin. There's not a different place. They're here. They're always available to us. And is that specific person that the client wants to come through? Are they going to? The true answer is, I don't know. I'm going to try as hard as I can, but this has so little to do with me and so much more to do about the three-way energetic bridge of communication that we're building. My energy, the client who walks in's energy, and those in the spirit world, their energy. All of that is mission critical. And if one of those things are off, it's not going to be a great session. And I don't know what can make those things go off. Maybe I had the wrong food last night. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep. Maybe the client comes in exactly how you said, I only want to hear from my dad and I'm closed off to anything else you say. So when I bring Aunt Sally through, and as evidential of my information could be about Aunt Sally, and they don't even like Aunt Sally, they're going to potentially stop the potential of Aunt Sally could have been the person in the spirit world that could have brought dad through. But if they have dad only, then they're not going to be open to other information. So, the long answer or the short answer is there's no guarantee you can make that you can connect with this specific person. I'm going to guarantee I try, but I can't guarantee the outcome.
Well, this other thing you said, and nobody has ever said this, and I think this is so cuckoo. So what is psychic hygiene and what do you really need to do to protect yourself from it? Whatever psychic hygiene is.
Well, listen, psychic hygiene is pretty important for people who are involved in this work. There's a lot of people who are not even involved in this work, but they are sensitive to the energy of other people. I'm sure you can pick a handful of people that you've known this has happened to. You walk into a room where two people have argued. They're not arguing anymore. They got big smiles on their face, but you walk in and it's like, oh my God, you can cut the tension with a knife, even though everyone's looking real happy, because we have the ability to sense this energy that other people leave. So I think it's very important for people to have, it's several things in the category, but we can just lump it together as psychic hygiene. If you're going to take care of your body physically, you're obviously going to eat the right foods and all that stuff, but you're dealing with, how do I take care of this physical body? But you do have to take care of that energetic body that you have. Doing this work requires a lot of energy. And if you're not taking care of that through, different aspects of psychic hygiene, whether it's grounding yourself, whether it's centering, being present, being in the moment, whether it's resting, having the right amount of rest. And most importantly, in my very short list, avoiding those energy vampires. These people. These are the people that when they call on your phone, you're like, oh no, it's so-and-so.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Of course it's true.
Funny.
But they drain you energetically, and these are the things that we have to protect ourselves from. Now, when it comes to protection, I'm one of those weird people that I do not believe that there's anything in the spirit world to protect yourself from. I do not believe that there are evil spirits. There are evil people, and you should definitely protect yourself from them. But I believe that once we transition, we are back to love and light, and that's how it is. That's my reality. And I know it's a weird thing. Some people don't really believe that, but I believe that you create your own reality. And if you know that to be true to you, that's your truth. Someone else might hear this and say, oh, but so-and-so has been haunted by somebody. listen, if that's your core belief, then that's going to be your truth. That's not my belief. It's the furthest thing from my mind.
So if you're a high-powered business person and you go to work and everybody's in a bad mood and you're in a great mood, all of a sudden you're like, oh, and you just feel like you've just been ripped apart. Now you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
How would you suggest somebody kind of getting that off you and lightening yourself back up to the original way you used to be?
Well, I would suggest doing this, first thing in the morning before you actually have to experience this someone else's toxic energy field. It's a matter of taking a few moments of your day. And I always suggest doing it at the beginning of the day so that you can be reactive instead of at the end of your day let's rewind that. Proactive at the beginning of the day instead of reactive at the end of the day. Your day's already over. Doing some kind of, meditation and, all that kind of stuff at the end of the day. I don't think it's the best thing for you. But if you can just sit there and just, for a brief moment, be present. Forget about your laundry list of things that are going on in your head. Take a couple deep breaths for yourself. Feel what it feels like to be inside your own skin. This is what it's like. And just carry that with you. Wear that as your shield or suit of armor. And when you walk into rooms, you now have the ability to positively affect other people. Instead of walking into a room and getting a toxic shower and having the rest of your day be crappy.
Right. That is a choice.
It is a choice.
So, yes, I believe that too. It is a choice. So you are the ultimate power, not your trinkets and toys. What do you mean by that? What are the trinkets and toys you're referring to? This is the thing that I get wonderful,
that's New Jersey sarcasm again. Wonderful acceptance from some of my peers when I talk about things like this. But again, I'm going back to, I 100% believe that you create your own reality. And, this universe that I'm going to call the universe, you can call God, love, source, spirit. I'm referring to the universe as that which has created everything. That universe takes your predominant energy and amplifies it to conspire for you. So if you come from a place of, I might need some external device or external trinket to make something work better, I personally believe that you're just screaming out to the universe, I lack something. And that universe is going to hear that and it's going to say, you're right. You do lack something. And I'm going to continue to prove that you lack something. I'm not saying that those things are not fun to use. I'm not saying that they're not fun to start learning from. But if you use that as your crutch, I really believe that you're not doing yourself a very empowering service because you're basically amplifying and saying, I can't do this by myself. I need something else to help me.
Okay, there was this situation that happened. I took my friend to Asheville, North Carolina, and there's this psychic who's called the Rock Girl, and she reads off these rocks, and she has this amazing warehouse with all these rocks in there. It's so cool. And she says she doesn't let any rock leave the store unless it tells her it wants to. So we were going around the store and then she goes, it kind of like does this weird glow or whatever. And I'm just like, okay. So my friend Marcy goes up to this one rock and she goes, wow, this is beautiful. I'd love for this to be in my house in Arizona. And she goes to touch it. And I'm not even lying about this. It lit up a little bit. And it took me back. I kind of jumped back. I said, what the hell was that? She goes, that rock wants to go with her. And I was like, what? It was so, what do you make of that?
Everything has energies. Rocks have energies. Crystals have energies. Gems have energy. These are real things. And I truly believe there could be a rock or a crystal or a gem that someone resonates with and they like that. And that's what, they want that because they enjoy it. I get it. Those things are really cool. But to use that in a different way, because we're talking about a different thing, liking something that has an energy and you kind of like that. It's cool. I want to have it in my room. No problem. That makes total sense to me. But to use that thing to think that you need that thing to do something, that's the dilemma that I have because I don't believe you need anything. You are a divine spiritual being. You have everything you need. The only thing that's in your way is your conscious mind. And listen, I don't walk on water. My conscious mind gets in the way, but I at least put myself in check. There are people that don't believe because we've been conditioned to believe you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. Hey, you're not supposed to be able to talk to dead people. Okay. But those are conditionings based on a long story. We have so many abilities and capabilities. It will take lifetimes for people to realize what are we truly capable of. And I would say start off on the right foot. And if you like those things, by all means, have them. But the second you use them for something else. Yeah, pendulum's a great example. Listen.
Yeah, because is it your mind moving it or what the hell's moving it?
Listen, I don't, there are some people that are moving that themselves because that's just what they want to do. But right. I believe that there are energies that can move that pendulum. I teach pendulums and how to use them. That doesn't mean I use them for what I do, but I believe it's a wonderful thing to teach somebody, hey, this is how this kind of energy stuff works. This is what it's all about. Now, once you transcend that pendulum and come to that point of an empowering moment when you realize, wait, I am the pendulum. I know that answer. I'm just relying on the pendulum because I don't trust myself.
Interesting. I like that. That's cool because I always wonder, well, what's actually moving it? Is my mind moving it? Is my hand moving it?
Listen, I've held a pendulum so many times.
Games with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done it. I've said, wait, I think my hand moved, and I will stop that pendulum dead center and start again. And yes, it will move again. It's a tool, and I believe it's a tool that is helpful, but I don't think it should ever substitute your innate, empowered, divine, spiritual self that you are, because I think we're capable of being our own pendulum.
Well, that kind of brings up the subject about the people that are addicted to readings, because I think readings are very helpful. Obviously, I'm the psychic girl. I mean, I love psychics, anything in the metaphysical world. But is there a point where a person is coming to you way too many times, they're relying on you to just tell them everything when really they need to take the information, use the lessons, and move forward on their own? Do you actually turn people away sometimes when they get too aggressive with readings?
I have in the past. I've literally told people to, okay, I can't see you anymore. I've told somebody a minimum of 6 months before you call me again, because, you get to the point of realizing if you're in tune with that person, because that's my job. I'm connecting to that person to help them in one way or another. What are they doing for themselves aside from showing up in my office? Are they doing any work themselves? Now, I oversimplify it because I use this example as like plotting a GPS course. You want to go from point A to point B, and we have the wonderful gadget of the GPS. You're going to get out into your car, sit in a driveway. You're going to plot the GPS directions into the unit. And then you're going to put the car in reverse, and you're going to back out, and you're going to go down the block. And then it's going to tell you the next thing to do. And then you're going to keep doing stuff. And then you check in with the GPS, and then you keep doing stuff. That's how it kind of works. I'm okay with somebody who's actually doing the work and now wants to come in making sure, hey, I really feel like I'm on track. Let's just check it out. As opposed to the person who just sits in the driveway, puts the course in the GPS, and sits there, and sits there, and sits there, and expects to go somewhere because the GPS is plotted and it's told me where to go, but the GPS doesn't drive for you. You actually have to do it. Now, this is obviously an analogy, but you still have to do the work. You have to do your own work. So yeah, I've told people, I can't see you anymore. And I've told people at least 6 more months before you have your next session. Now, those are for psychic readings. When you talk about a mediumship session, it's weird for me because, as a medium, which might sound strange, I don't have a desire for another person to connect me to my loved ones in the spirit world. I know that they're there. I sense when they're around. So for someone to give me evidence to, in my opinion, the sole reason is to prove the continuation of the soul. Is this person still alive and they're just in a different form? Once you believe that, I would question, why do you keep going? Now, if you have somebody that just passed and you believe the soul carries on and it continues and you want to check in, okay, to some degree, I get that. But there have been times where people come to me and come to me and come to me. And there's only so much information I'm capable of perceiving. Okay, yep, this is your dad. Yep, and here's more information. Still your dad. He's still in the spirit world. It's still him, right? It's still dad. Yep, okay, it's still him. He's not going anywhere. He's there. Why come in and check on the same thing? So, I think you have a professional obligation as a working psychic or a working medium to make sure that someone has a true understanding of why they're there and should they come back.
Right. I know. I feel the same way you do. Like if someone dies, I don't feel the need to reach out to them. I can see why a lot of people would, especially if they died in an erratic way or a tragedy and they feel like they didn't get to say goodbye. Mm-hmm. But I feel the way you feel. I feel like they're around me and you could always talk to them. And I don't think people really get that.
Well, there are some people that don't have that ability because, like, let's just say that somebody super close to you passed and you are stricken. You have so much grief that your energetic vibration is so low that you no longer have that capacity to sense that high vibration anymore because you are down in the dumps with grief. I kind of get that someone would want to. It is sad. So I can understand why people come in because they don't have an understanding of the spirit world. Did my loved one who passed because of a condition, do they still have that condition? Are they still in pain? I get that because they just don't understand anything other than the physicality of being human. So that makes total sense to me. But someone who has the wherewithal of saying, yeah, okay, I connected, the medium connected me with my grandmother in the spirit world. I'm going to go to a different medium this time. Okay, great. Your grandmother's still in the spirit world. And I just question it.
Yeah, that brings me up to the whole predicting the future thing. And, is it dangerous? Is it not dangerous? Is it helpful? Because I always feel, I say this all the time because I find it amazing that some psychics will just post the yearly predictions. And they're just like leaving themselves wide open just to get insulted and criticized if every little thing doesn't come true. Because it's a matter of interpretation. You and I can go to the same movie and we're going to describe that movie differently.
Absolutely.
How it made us feel. So I'm really amazed that the guys who are ballsy enough to get out there and do that.
Well, listen, some people do. I don't. It's not something I feel comfortable with because I strongly believe that we have free will that can change everything that somebody thinks that they can predict about somebody. So I would tell you, I don't make predictions. But when I'm sitting there with somebody in a psychic reading session, when you sense somebody's energy and you sense their potentials and capabilities and you get deeper into the session and your soul's connected to their soul and you see this energetic being, you no longer see the human in front of you. You see this superstar energetic being and all of that they are capable of. You bet I share that with them, but I can't predict what they're going to do with it. That's right. That's their job. That's up to their free will. I've said this to people before. You could leave my office and make a left-hand turn to get home, and you could leave my office and make a right-hand turn to get home. Ultimately, you will get home, but you're going to experience different things on the way to your goal by going one direction or another. And I can't choose which direction you go. That's the person's individual choice. We call that free will. So someone wants to predict something about me. I guess if I sit in that position and do absolutely nothing, I wonder what would happen because my free will might stop me from doing things that I normally would have done. But this person told me, hey, you're going to win the lottery.
The old famous lottery question. My God,
listen,
if I could count.
So many people, everyone has, how many people, I can't tell you how many people have asked me, well, why can't you just give me the lottery tickets? Listen, if I can give you the lottery tickets, I would have won it 10 times in a row already. But
That's
this is
right.
about, and I don't think it's about, a lottery. I think it goes so much deeper. There's so much more meaning to helping somebody on a life path than just giving predictions of lottery, because lottery is, listen, I'm not going to tell you I don't want to win it, but my humanness wants to win it. My soul is driven for something else that brings me passion and all those things. And telling somebody something that, could help a human cause instead of a soul or spiritual cause. I'm not going to say that I have problems with people that do predicting. I just don't think it's good for me. I don't enjoy it. So again, that's a pool that I don't swim in.
Well, I think you were such a joy, and thank you so much for joining the podcast.
It was
you were
my
a lot
true
of
pleasure.
fun.
Thanks.
So if you'd like to learn more about Carl, please go to his website, check him out, book a reading. You're going to love it. www.carlseaver.com. And don't forget to check out our website for our monthly Psychic of the Month for our group sessions. Super duper fun. And remember, you create your life, you create your future. This is Alicia Bowling with Beyond Logic.